What can you say about the FN PS90? Well, good question, but I'm going to do my best to tell you something about it right now.
It was a smoking gun. It was a smoking gun. It was a smoking gun. It was a smoking gun.
Alright guys, I wanted to do a quick video on this while I still have it, and it is not mine, it is being loaned to me by a local viewer, so thank you Mark. I've shot this gun once and I don't have a ton of trigger time and experience with it, but I just wanted to share some impressions because it is such a unique piece of tactical hardware and there is nothing else like it. And as I kind of hinted in the intro, it's hard to contextualize because it's just so unique and there's not a lot you can compare it to. I guess the thing that comes to mind is, it's an imperfect comparison and analogy, but if a PPK met a Steyr AUG, I think you'd end up with something like this. And I say that because this is a blowback system. It has that kind of terse, thumpy feel when you shoot it, and that like a blowback pistol like a PPK does. And it's very soft though. Like you experience in a PP or PPK in 32, the 380s are a little more punchy. And then of course it is more or less a bullpup design, and it feeds from behind the trigger group, and so it does kind of have that characteristic, that back heavy feel that you get with bullpup rifles. And so it's kind of a combination of both of those things. It has that very small, very compact feel. It definitely feels smaller and just quicker and more, honestly, more pistol-like than like an MP5 or UMP40, and those are the only subguns I have any experience with. So it's more maneuverable and lighter and just smaller feeling than those guns. And obviously the real subgun version of this does not have this extended barrel. You get that on the civilian version, the semi-automatic version, for NFA reasons, and it looks freaking cool. It looks like something from a science fiction movie. And I guess I'll tell you just a little bit about the function and the operation of it, because that's what makes it so unique. If you don't know, it has a magazine that runs horizontally along the gun, and it feeds, the spring pushes the rounds this way towards the back, and then they literally rotate, I think 90 degrees, and then they get fed forward into the chamber. And it's crazy. There's nothing else like it. And I guess they did that just so it's very compact, there's nothing sticking out, nothing to get in the way, very maneuverable, and really suited for CQB, that kind of a thing. And also interesting, the ejection port's on the bottom, so it spits the rounds out of the bottom, and they just kind of end up collecting by your feet as you're shooting. So it's really a cool piece of hardware. As far as the ballistics with 5.7 by 28, there's a lot of discussions out there on that, whether it's worth it or how effective it is. I'm not going to get into that, but suffice to say, I would not want to be shot with it. And the rounds look like little rifle rounds, and it's really neat. So in that sense, it has very unique handling characteristics, and it has some bullpup-like qualities like you would find in a bullpup rifle, yet it's much lighter, much more svelte feeling, and just overall more maneuverable, and kind of bridges the gap between a shoulder-mounted weapon and a pistol. And that's kind of my key takeaway. And the other aspect of shooting this thing is it's a whole lot of fun to shoot. It's these the magazines on this thing hold 50 rounds, and it is just a blast. You just boom, 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 pop rounds through it, and you can shoot it super fast, and you have that kind of engaging thump of the blowback action that you get on blowback firearms. But again, it's softened because the 5.7 round is, it's not putting a ton of mass out, and so you don't have quite as much thump as you get with like a 380 or something like that, or a 9mm Makarov. So it's a whole lot of fun to shoot. The trigger is not great, as one kind of comes to expect with most bullpups. I've been kind of spoiled by my Hellion because it has like a custom job on the trigger, so its trigger is phenomenal. The Steyr AUG that I've shot is not great. This is not great either. It's it has take up, and the break isn't too bad, but it's got some take up, and it's a little spongy. For shooting fast, it was putting the rounds in a fairly coherent pattern. I wasn't getting like real tight groups, and when I slowed down, I mean, it was okay, nothing special either way. So it's, in my takeaway in terms of how it handles and how it shoots, it's a really fun gun to shoot. It handles unlike anything else, and it's just neat. And it's probably not something I would ultimately invest in for my collection, but it's just worth experiencing because there's nothing else like it. I am thrilled that I had a chance to share this with you guys, and I think it's a really neat gun, and I'm thankful to have had a chance to experience it. And so that's about all I've got to say. Like I said, this is not a full review. I just wanted to kind of provide a brief overview of my experience with this thing, and if you ever get a chance to shoot one, I suggest you do it because this thing is really freaking neat. In any case, I'm Matt with Hipster Tactical, and I will catch you later.